Welcome back to Boring Gear Reviews. This week we're talking about the Sunbear Pickups 59 PAFs. So hit the subscribe button and let's get started. Sunbear Pickups was founded and is run by Stuart Robson, and he's based out in the UK. And for the past few years, he has, in my opinion, been winding some of the absolute best vintage style pickups you can get. So for today's demo, I'm going to be using my 2013 Gibson Les Paul Traditional with Sunbear 59 PAFs. So there are a ton of things that affect the tone of an electric guitar. In my experience, the biggest factor is going to be just the construction of the guitar. People like to, argue about and pontificate, especially Les Paul players love to get into these lengthy debates about, certain eras of wood and species of wood and why that makes this guitar the greatest guitar ever and not another guitar and whatever, and you can't possibly replicate it and blah, 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 blah. Wood matters, of course. Everything matters. In my experience, the actual construction of the guitar is kind of more important than even the wood. So what I've personally seen from myself being a guitar player for a long time and talking with luthiers and, rebuilding guitars and, taking them apart and asking questions is that the construction of the guitar, then the pickups, and then the volume pots are the biggest factors in how your guitar sounds. After that, your natural sounding guitar is running through cables with resistance and then into an amp with capacitors and transistors and tubes, and then, through more wires and speakers. And then, every speaker has different characteristics, and the wood in the cabinet changes, and then the room you're in, and not to mention the types of strings you're using, both the thickness and gauge, and also the picks you're using, both material and thickness. Plus, if you're basing guitar tones off of, records you're listening to, then you're hearing all of those factors, plus, preamps and EQs and compressors and limiters and all the, whether it's gone to tape and what kind of tape and all the mixing and mastering that goes along. So tone is like super complicated and very, very, very subjective. There's so many things that affect the sound of your guitar. So, the kind of the first step when you're monkeying with the tone is usually the pickups and the volume pots. That's where you want to start. So I've talked about it before that I personally prefer lower output pickups. There's much less compression. They're more kind of open and airy and dynamic sounding, but that tone is definitely not what everybody's after, and that's totally fine. For me, I really love that. It allows me to get all the glassy sounds that I hear in my head, and I can really lighten my pick attack and hear the notes kind of bloom. When I dig in, I can hear that pick scrape against the string. If I want to add a ton of gain, it handles that really well, but it still maintains a lot of articulation and clarity. For me, that's what I like. And all while sounding very kind of warm and organic and like I'm playing a piece of wood. So this set here is, like I said, it's the 59 PAFs from Sunbear. And Stu wound these for me last March, I believe. Not I believe, it's written right here. The neck pickup is an Alnico 3, and it's 7.2K, the output. And then the bridge pickup is Alnico 4, and it's at 8.2K. They're both unpotted, and he lightly aged the covers for me as well. And I've used this guitar before. You've seen it in both the Electronic Audio Experiments Model FET demo, which is a link right here, or here. I don't remember. I can never remember which side. I think it's here. No, here. And then also my Walrus Audio Lore demo, which is a link right here. Same place. So the only difference between the guitar in those demos and today is I finally had a chance to change out the pots. In those previous two demos, you can hear the 59 PAFs with 300K pots, which is what this guitar came with. I had bought some pots from Mojo Tone, their vintage taper, and I just never got around to putting them in. So the other day I had some time and I gutted the guitar and redid all the wiring. So the only difference between the previous demos with this guitar and today is I did redo all the wiring. It's got 50 style wiring, and then I did change the volume pots to 500K. So, you know, when you're talking about volume pots, the lower the number, the rating, the kind of darker it is. So like on single coil guitars, Strats, Teles, things like that, you'll usually have 250K pots because single coils are super bright. And in order to kind of tame some of that shrillness down, you use a darker volume pot. Humbuckers are much darker sounding, so you want to use a brighter volume pot. But you can hear in those demos, it's still a fantastic sounding guitar, even with the 300K pots. So anyway, these are 5K now, or 500K rather, and it definitely opens up a high end that wasn't quite there before. So obviously, traditionally on this channel, I'm playing through pedals. For today's purpose, I've decided not to do that. And I'm just going to run my Les Paul into my UAD Apollo X6 and then into the Softube JMP 2203 amp sim, which is, like I've said before, it is a JCM 800 amp simulation. And I'm going to show it very clean and then super high gain and then, you know, like a mid gain. And what I'm going to try to show, which is difficult because, you know, with pickups, you're really trying to hear a lot of nuance. And, you know, when you record them and then compress them into a video and then upload that video to YouTube, and then YouTube has its really aggressive compression, it's possible that some of that nuance gets lost. So all I can really say is I'll do my best to kind of talk about and show what I feel makes these things so spectacular, but it's really no replacement for just trusting that these are excellent and then putting them in a guitar. Comment below what your favorite pickups are. They don't have to be vintage inspired or PAF replicas or whatever. Just I'm super curious. What pickups do you like? Have you ever changed the pickups on your guitar? I would love to know. Comment below and let me know. So for this first clip, I'm going to play very clean. It's just going to be the sound of the pickups into the amp. And I'm going to be on the neck pickup the whole time. And I'm going to kind of alternate between some finger playing and then with a pick. And what I like to hear, and what I hope you can hear as well, is that you can hear the start of every note. So whether I'm picking or plucking the strings, you'll hear the beginning of that, and then the notes kind of naturally open up. It's a really beautiful sound. To me, this sounds so much like kind of the warmth and quality that you hear in a really good acoustic guitar. That type of thing, you know, as an electric instrument. So not a acoustic with a pickup, which never sounds like an acoustic, but an electric guitar that is maintaining the acoustic qualities of the wood itself. You'll also hear, if you listen closely, especially if you're on good speakers or headphones, you'll hear some overtones and undertones that kind of complement when certain notes ring out. That's like something I love so much. And that has something to do with the guitar as well, but definitely, you know, pickups that are detailed enough to pick that up and then amplify it is really important. All right, so in this next clip, we are going to crank the gain and, oh, hi. In this next clip, we're going to crank the gain, and I'm going to start with the bridge pickup and the volume rolled off to about 2, and then I'm going to increase it up. And you'll see how much these pickups clean up. Yes, some of it has to do with, the amp, but that's one of the reasons I didn't want to use pedals today. I just wanted to use the amp sim. So as many variables are taken away, and you're just hearing the response of the pickups into this amp. So it cleans up so well with these pickups, and then you'll hear it really, really kind of expand and get very thick and aggressive as the volume gets rolled up all the way. And then the amp sim, I'm just running the master and the preamp all the way up on the high setting. All right, so for this last clip, I'm going to set the amp as kind of like a mid gain, like a bluesy breakup type of a sound. And I'm also going to be running the UAD EMT 140 plate reverb plugin as well. It's not super dramatic, but you'll definitely hear some of that reverb underneath. This is the type of tone where you'll really hear that glassiness. When people talk about vintage PAFs, for Les Pauls, most of the time, most people are chasing the sound of 3 years of Les Pauls, 1958, 59, and 60. Partly because of the woods and construction methods at that time, but in a huge, huge way because of the pickups. The tolerances of metal and the alloys and how they were winding them and the magnets, which was kind of random, were different then. And they were making pickups that were pretty outstanding. And that's what, most of vintage inspired pickups are trying to replicate that thing. And one of the things that everybody talks about with that is this idea that the Les Paul from that era, 58, 59, and 60, was like a telly on steroids. This idea that it's very Telecaster, kind of open. There's a twanginess and a glassiness to it, but very, kind of beefy and, like a ratcheted up version of that. So when you're looking for PAF style pickups, that's a big part of the thing you're looking for. And this next example is that to a T. For me, I haven't heard a better example of this from PAFs, modern PAFs. I haven't. So, the original PAFs, the humbuckers, they were basically designed. They were using P90s at the time, which are single coil, loud, noisy pickups. They sound great, but they're super noisy. So they wanted to get rid of the noise. So what they were trying to make at that time when they were making these humbuckers was a P90 that didn't make noise. That's where we got those vintage PAFs from. And I think for me, a lot where pickups kind of fall short when they're trying to replicate that is they're not trying to make P90s that don't hum. They're trying to make humbuckers that sound like those old humbuckers. So there's a difference in approach. P90s are very glassy, and they get really raunchy when you pump a lot of gain into them. And I feel that these Sunbear PAFs nail that up and down. So anyway, I'm going to start on the neck pickup, and then I'll open up to the bridge. And yeah, forgive the blues lawyering, but it's fun. All right, so that was the Sunbear 59 PAFs. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of them. I've had them in this guitar for almost a year, and you know they replaced. This guitar came with Gibson 57 Classics, which are their versions of like kind of PAF style pickups, and they're fine. You know, they're not bad. For me, they lack kind of that depth and like 3D, you know, air around the notes. These are all very kind of buzzword type things, but it's true. They lacked all that. And, you know, I took a chance. I reached out to Stu last year, and I was asking about, well, you know, this is what I have, this is what I want. And yeah, I got you. And we talked about output levels, and he was like, yeah, this will be good. And damn, it's they're for this guitar, for what I want from it, they're perfect. It is the exact sound I want, and I love them so much. They're super clear. They get really aggressive if I need, really beautiful when it's clean. You know, they're excellent. I seriously suggest, if you are interested in vintage pickups and PAFs, reach out to Stu. He's super easy to talk to. He's always willing to answer questions and talk to you about tone. Super cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your support. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll get notified when I release new videos, which is every week. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.